To be determined, especially if you're not wired this way, you need to start to get determined about wiring yourself. Because I think what happens a lot in the New Age is we get a very everything's just kind of gets a little too flowy. And this is why in the wellness and health industry, even though it's the biggest growing industry, and many of you either want to be in that industry or already are, many of you are not in that industry, but since 2008 and the market crashed, what happened? People lost everything. And when they lost everything, they looked around and they said, what's really valuable? My health, my wellness. The basic teaching is in an interaction, you are in the perspective of yourself, watching the interaction or the flow of the energy, the business. You then put yourself in the perspective of, does anybody put themselves in the perspective of the business? Let's start doing that. That's what you're raising up. That's the leadership and the impact that you're creating, that everyone that you surround yourself with is actually better than you. And his whole message was, and then I made millions. Because when I surrounded myself with these high velocity characters, I'm cool, I'm good, I have the vision, I'm holding the auric field of the vision. But then I surrounded myself with people who are better than I, 10 times better than I. That's the Aquarian epoch. Money is the heaviest thing you will ever come into contact with. And it will either take you down, we've seen a lot of that, haven't we? Or it will elevate you and elevate legions of others with you. And he said, and so now everybody put on their bana and everybody's, dressing like they know something about something or that they're really spiritual. And this is my whole point. This is why I'm very, very adamant. Don't do anything. Don't wear anything. Don't put on anything on your head or wear white or do anything weird like that. Why would you want to do that? Sounds like a bad idea to me. The only reason you would ever do anything like that is if you, in your own experience, it changed something for you that would move something that helps you to basically do something in the world. And his whole point, but he says it very quietly, and it's equinox in 1997, spring equinox. He says it very quietly. He's like, yeah, I found you guys basically as a bunch of naked whales on a riverbed at Woodstock. And 30 years later, you're all wearing your chunies and your turbans and your this, that, and your swords and your Sikh and all this kind of stuff, and nothing has changed. If we allow for the polarities living in a human body and being human, if we can play with those in a way where we're cutting through our own self-deception, then we can really be useful. And then people, when you're around people, they go, that person is themselves or something closer to themselves than I thought was possible to be. And that is relieving, first and foremost, inspiring, second and second most. And third, it starts to create a different type of relating to ourselves and to our world and to our life. But that's not the reporting of facts. You feel the difference, right? We don't know who we are, but we are just basically, in every little thing that we do, we're just trying to discover another little catacomb of ourselves. When you're working with if you're working with someone who is 80% neurotic, whether it's yourself or someone else, and that's basically everyone. So whether it's yourself or someone else, if you basically create a vacuum of just 20% of your neurosis, it's not that much, it's a pretty good percentage. 20% of your neurosis, if you can, start to repattern it and leave it behind, so you just are left with 60%, you will create a vacuum that will help the other 80% neurotic people get rid of 20% of their neurosis. So we're not looking for, 100% here. We're just looking for, if we can rid ourselves of another 20% of our neurosis, our lives are going to become so much more prosperous. I thought that was very interesting for my women entrepreneurs in here. It's like, okay, so I'm crazy because I'm a woman and I want to build a big business. So that's what we're up against. So I want you guys to just just do your best and go, because it's worth it. And people will try to stop you along the way. And that's where the grit of your practice. And you will try to stop you along the way. That's the grit of your practice, You can use in all sorts of different ways, including parenting, so any type of creative act you can utilize. So we're going to work a little bit this morning on any place where you're feeling guilty about your own success, because it's a cosmic law that you are here to be successful. Patience plus listening equals a true leader. Patience plus listening equals a true leader. So we're either being used by social media. I mean, you can put in the blank, whatever you want in there. Our business. Yogi Bhajan says all business problems are a clash between your identity and the identity of the business. You're having a fight with the identity of the business, and you think you can win, but you can't win. The business always wins if you want a successful business. But with success, you can tell success to get on their knees and bow down to you, because you're not going to have it. And you can start to have that impersonal relationship with it, and how you relate to your output and your input in every way will determine every aspect of your ability to vibrate at higher and higher levels in terms of getting more successful or more prosperous or more fulfilled or more creative. You can put whatever word you want in there in terms of all the things that humans want. It all is in relation to how you are with your output and your input. Before the millennial generation, this is what's been so great about the millennials. Before the millennial generation, nobody talked like that. It was just like, you had a job, you made money. It wasn't, that was, and so the millennials have done a very good job to break open this kind of consciousness that we can the way we work can be in alignment with a higher value system. So it's been a excellent job. Now, of course, the downside of that is this kind of loss of grassroots, which is a misunderstanding that the way that you start to generate or align yourself in a higher prosperity experience is that you bring your values to what you do, no matter what they are. So that's a grassroots that has been, and so I always say there's nothing that ambition, and you cannot teach people ambition. And I'm always, when I'm looking for people to work with, I'm looking for ambitious people. Ambition has a dark side, but you can't teach ambition to people. They either have it or they don't. I really fought for it too. And, I skipped 2 grades. I left high school. I left, all this kind of stuff. And I have 7 businesses growing. We just created another one without realizing it. Joanne's like, I'm sorry, who's running this new business? Because I am not. So those are the love letters I get from Joanna. She's like, we have a new business, so who's running this business? But that's very normal, that if you're breaking inside, you're not taught in the institutions how to break inside these matrices. And they don't want you to.